Welcome to this session on research methodology. The word research methodology actually consists of two words. One is research and one is methodology. Now, research is we do a research to find out a solution to a problem or an answer to a problem. We do research to apply certain theory and see what are the effects of that theory in the natural situation. We do research to study a particular phenomena. So in short, research is nothing but systematic gathering of data and information and its analysis for advancement of knowledge in any subject. Now, methodology is the process and the methods for doing the research. It starts with identifying the problem. It starts with formulating hypotheses, then collecting data, analyzing data, interpreting data, and finding from the data that we have interpreted, and also the conclusion and giving the answer to the problem. So methodology is nothing but system of methods. It's a combination of methods used in a particular area of study or activity. Then what is method? Method is nothing but the technique that are used for conduction of the research. So in short, research methodology as per Derek Patron is defined as a highly intellectual human activity used in investigation of nature and matter and deals specifically with the manner in which data is collected, analyzed, and interpreted. The first word research is actually defined in many ways. According to Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, defines research as studious inquiry or examination or investigation or experimentation, which is aimed at the discovery and interpretation of facts, revision of accepted theories or laws in the light of new facts, or practical applications of such new or revised theories or laws. So that's one of the definition of research. There are other definition of researchers. Newman says a collection of method and methodologies that researchers apply systematically to produce scientifically based knowledge about the social world. According to Clifford Woody, research comprises of defining and redefining problems, formulating hypotheses or suggested solutions, collecting, organizing, and evaluating data, making deductions and reaching conclusions, and at last, carefully testing the conclusions to determine whether they fit the formulating hypothesis. D. Steiner and M. Stephenson in the Encyclopedia of Social Sciences defines research as the manipulation of things, concepts, or symbols for the purpose of generalizing to extend, correct, or verify knowledge, whether that knowledge aids in the construction of theory or in the practice of an art. The objectives of research. So every research is done to fulfill certain objectives. The basic purpose of research is to discover answers to questions through the application of scientific procedures. So that's very important. The main aim of research is to find out truth which is hidden, which has not been discovered as yet. Though each research study has its own specific purpose, we may think of research objectives as falling into a number of following broad groupings. Now, what are those groupings? The first one is to gain familiarity with the phenomena or achieving new insights. This type of research is normally called formulative research studies or exploratory research studies. The second grouping is about to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual, situation, or group. This normally is the type of descriptive research studies. The third grouping is normally done through diagnostic research studies, and that is to determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else. Finally, the last grouping comes of testing of a hypothesis, basically of causal relationship between two variables, two or multiple variables in that case, and this can be hypothesis testing research studies. Once we have understood the objective, then we actually have to decide on the type of research we are planning to do. Now, for that, we need to understand what are the various types of research. The various types of research include descriptive versus analytical research, applied versus fundamental research, qualitative versus quantitative research, conceptual versus empirical research. Now, to understand the concepts of what they are and what is actually the types of research defined to, we can say descriptive research concentrates on the finding facts to ascertain the nature of something as it exists. Whereas in the other case, analytical research is concerned with determining the validity of hypotheses based on analysis of facts collected. Applied research, on the other hand, is carried out to find out answers to practical problems to be solved and as an aid in decision making in different areas, including product design, process design, and policy making. The fundamental research is carried out as more to satisfy intellectual curiosity than with the intention of using the research finding for any immediate practical application. The qualitative research studies, such as aspects of the research subject which are not quantifiable and hence not the subject of measurement and quantitative analysis. So that is where you do the qualitative research. Quantitative research makes substantial use of measurements and quantitative analysis techniques. The conceptual research is involving investigation of thoughts and ideas and developing new ideas or interpreting the old ones based on logical reasoning. Empirical research is based on firm, verifiable data collected by other observation of facts under natural conditions or obtained through experimentation. Now we are coming back to our second word, that is methodology. Methodology and methods are the two terms are often treated as synonyms, but methodology is broader and envelops methods. It is an understanding the social organizational context, philosophical assumptions, ethical principles, political issues of enterprise of the researcher who use the methods. As we said, it's a research method is a part of research methodology. So methods which are used by the researchers during the course of studying this research problem are termed as research methods. Since the object of research particularly, excuse me, applied research is to arrive at a solution for a given problem. The available data and the unknown aspects of the problem have to be related to each other to make a solution possible. Keeping this in view, research methods can be put into the following three groups. Group 1. In the first group, we include those methods which are concerned with the collection of data. These methods will be used where the data already available are not sufficient to arrive at the required solution. The second group consists of those statistical techniques which are used for establishing relationship between the data and the unknown. And the third group consists of those methods which are used to evaluate the accuracy of the results obtained. Research methodology. The scope of research methodology, as we said, is much wider than that of research method. Thus, when we talk of research methodology, we not only talk of research method, but also consider the logic behind the methods we use in the context of our research study. I'll explain why we are using a particular method or technique and why we are not using others so that research results are capable of being evaluated either by the researcher himself or by others. Now, why a research study has been undertaken, how the research problem has been defined, in what way and why the hypothesis has been formulated, what data has been collected, and what particular method has been adopted. Why particular technique of analyzing data has been used, and a host of similar other questions are usually answered when we talk of research methodology concerning a research problem or study. So you can see it is a very, very wider scope or wider area. The research process is another very important aspect of the methodology as to the process that you follow for the whole research. And in general, this is a very common process everybody follows, whoever conducts a research. They start with formulating the problem, then they do extensive literature survey. After doing the literature survey, they identify the variables and develop the hypothesis. We then prepare the research design based on our problem and determine the sample design, and also we start collecting the data. Once the data is being collected and completion of the collection of data is over, we start analyzing the data either by qualitative method or by quantitative method as per the data we have collected. Then we test our hypothesis and finally we interpret our analysis and findings. And the last stage is we prepare the report or presentation of the result in a very conclusion about the write-ups of the conclusions reached. We speak about the conclusions reached and what we need to do and what's the solution to the problem, or how much the knowledge has been extended as per the limitations of our study also has to be mentioned there, because that also identifies the gap for the future study in that particular area. So, as we said, for a research to be good, we need to follow certain criteria. The first criteria is the purpose for which the research is being conducted should be clearly defined and the common concepts be used. Then the research procedure used should be described in a sufficient detail to permit another researcher to repeat the research for further advancement of the knowledge, keeping the continuity of what has already been attained. The procedural design of the research should be carefully planned to yield results that area objective as possible. The researcher should report with complete frankness flaws in procedural design and estimate their effect upon the findings. The analysis of the data should be sufficiently adequate to reveal its significance, and the methods of analysis used should be appropriate. The validity and reliability of the data should be checked carefully. Conclusions should be confined to those justified by the data of the research and limited to those for which the data provide an adequate basis. Greater confidence in research is warranted if the researcher is experienced, with a good reputation in research, and is a person of integrity. So, thank you and happy research.